So we got a few issues with the wiring yet. The fan and the windows have no power, and you can see those three big black spade connectors there, and then there's one more that is off there. The one that's off has no power, so if you flip your fuse panel over on the back, and if a few things aren't working at the same time, you can line up the bar, and your fuse panel gets fed by fusible links. Now the fusible links are come out of this T, so this T runs over and goes into your positive, and then it splits off here. And what a fusible link is a fuse that's a one-time fuse. It's underneath here, and what I can see is I'm not liking Dodge for this because they've changed the color of the wires on me. So you can just grab the wires here, and it's hard to do because I gotta hold the camera here, but if you pull on the wires here, see it stretch? It's not supposed to stretch, so that means the wire is burnt underneath here. So here I can feel wires nice and thick again. I can't make it stretch. I don't know if you can see that, but when you pull it out of your T here, see this one? I can stretch it, whereas this one I can't. So I know that there's an issue of this wire being teed off in here. So what I'm going to do is going to have to run an extra wire. The fusible link might even be okay, which is weird. It should have burnt the fusible link and not the wire. But I'll have to run another wire from here, either through another fusible link or a circuit breaker, so that fuse panel is protected. If you hot wire it and that wire ever shorts out, then your truck's going to go up in flames. So also the speedo wasn't working, and we had to use the wiring harness from the automatic, and the switches are actually completely separate and different. So we used the plugs that had the most spades in it, where it plugs in right here, and I've had to figure out what wire goes where. So these three that were on the automatic, this will make the backup lights come on, so I have to extend the wires, and I don't have to extend these. They go to the top of the transmission, to the shifter housing. These are the wires for the speedo, and they have the same plug. This plug is the same as the oil pressure plug and the water and the fuel plug. So the plug was missing off of the wiring harness from the original four-wheel drive, so luckily I was able to borrow a plug from another donor truck, and then I just put it in here for now and then check to make sure it was working. You can just put a drill on the back here on that spade, and that'll run the speedometer in the truck. Now the speedometer's not working because it's got this little gear reduction, and you can see that all the rust in there. This is seized solid. I can't, even with pliers, I can't turn that. I got this one free, so it's able to spin, but you should be able to spin that just by hand, and it's all gummed up in there, and they don't come apart. So I don't know, I'm gonna look and see if I can get another one of those. So that should take care of my windows, my fan, and my speedo, and my backup lights. I need my neutral safety yet. I think there's a neutral safety on the tranny, I'm not sure, I'll let you guys know. And also I still have to extend some of the wiring at the back there. So lots to go, but here we go. Cleaning up the last of the wiring. These circuit breakers right here did a really good job of fixing all my issues underneath, getting rid of those fusible links. They are fed by this one positive terminal that I mounted right to the fender here, and that's being fed by the side post right here. I like these dual terminal batteries because I'm able to use the top post and the side post, and eliminates rotting and whatever, makes for better contact. So I got my starter being fed off the side post, my two glow plug wires, and my main wire for all my circuit breakers. I ran a 4/0 cable over to the other fender where I mounted another battery. From there, I'm going to directly feed the alternator into that side post, along with another 4/0 cable that's going to run to the back to feed an electric winch that he uses to pull the scrap trucks on. the wire for the alternator was on a 50 amp fusible link. I think they did that because it loops all the way around the engine, and if it does short out, you can burn your truck up, but I'm gonna run a nice neat wire right over to that battery and eliminate the need for that. So that cleaned up a lot of the stuff under the hood there. I did have to get a new reducer for the speedo. What happens is these seize up. I think it might change it from miles to kilometers, I don't know. But this drive here has got a pin in it, and that pin shears when this seizes, so you can replace that pin. You don't have to replace this piece. But this piece is like 160 Canadian because they're hard to come by now. And they couldn't rebuild it, but it's only like 30 bucks American with the dollar being the way it is. It's kind of pathetic right now. But from there, I was able to plug in my sensor, figure out which wires drive the speedo, and just put a drill on it and make sure that the speedo moves. And figured out my backup lights, and I had to cut open that whole loom because that loom is for an automatic, and I still got to try and get the four-wheel drive light and the neutral safety or the clutch safety working. The window motors were a pain because Dodge is so confident in their window motors that they don't actually allow you to swap them. You can't get at these holes that hold the window motor in. So whoever's had this truck before has hacked giant holes in here, and it did a horrible job. Basically, if you're gonna attempt it, if you're looking at the hole here, just at about 4 o'clock here, there's a hole. So you can drill a nice hole or use tin snips or a grinder and just cut a nice little access hole there. Then you can line up your two holes in your window motor. There's the one down below here, and then your other three, and then you can kind of know where to drill the holes so you don't make a giant mess. I had a couple bad plugs and a couple bad switches, got that all figured out with some parts. And then the locks aren't working yet. The motors are trying now, but even just trying to lift up on it, these door hinges are all gummed up and sticky, so they're not doing anything. Got to take those apart and fix those, and then get at the taillights and the new flares, and we're almost there. So our door here, part of the reason why the motor quit is because this window wasn't moving up and down very easy. And it started with this little bracket at the back letting go, these spot welds let go, so I had to re-weld those. When you grease the window, make sure you grease the bottom of the rails here. And then also the X where the two halves meet. And on your motor, before you install your motor, put lots of grease on your actual gear here, and that will allow it to go up and down. You should really be able to move it up and down the full range, no odd noises, and nice and free. Otherwise you're just going to wear out another motor. So here we go. So this window was going up and down really nicely, except for when it was on the motor, because it twisted just a little bit, and this little lock thing was right here. And you can see with the Dodge rivets, it's as sloppy as can be. So it was catching the window, so we don't need that. And then this was the 85 door lock motor, and this one's C solid, so we don't need that anymore. I did take the motor out of that door. Problem is that the holes were different, so I had to drill new holes, so I'll have to put a bolt in here. And then on the other door, the window goes down nice and freely, but it doesn't go up very nice. So it really struggles. So even though the motor is working, no problem. The problem is that on the back of the crank there's a big spring, and that helps the window go up because you got gravity pushing it down, and you need the spring to help push it back up again. So now I got to pop that spring in there. I can see that somebody's already taken this apart. They've got all different bolts on there, but the originals are all riveted because Dodge, I don't know, maybe they just want you to buy a whole new door. So I'm gonna put the spring in there, see if that fixes it. Here we go. That was the progress so far, and we'll have more sometime. We're getting right to the end of this build. Basically, I have changed every part, everything on this truck other than the dash and the seats. I've changed every piece of wire, engine, transmission, tires, suspension, everything, and unfortunately all my parts trucks, nothing was working when I got them, including this gas truck, so really had to start over from scratch, and absolutely everything was broken. One of these farm trucks, they're all farm trucks where, you know, one thing breaks, oh well, I can live with it, and then another, and another, and another, and before you know it, you start cobbling just to get it to start and charge, and then you just park the truck and get rid of it. It's really been a challenge to get everything working again. Pretty much went over budget because absolutely nothing was left, but he's gonna have an awesome rig when it's done. A few more things. This is why this project is taking a lot longer than it should have, because I pretty much built a brand new truck. Even though we're using some used parts because we're going over budget, at least the wiring in that is back to 100%, so that we can, next time if those used window motors do break, well, he knows that it's the window motor, not the wiring. We're gonna tidy up everything really nice, and he's gonna have a brand new truck by the time spring rolls around. I don't know what he's doing for paint yet, but off to the drive shaft shop and an alignment, and we are having a safetyable truck. Here we go. Hey, you're still watching, great. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You never know what you're gonna get. If it's got a throttle, we work on it. Help support the channel by picking up a tape boss off tapeboss.com. And remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich.